after, as I said, opening their campaigns on Wednesday. Zimbabwe got a point, unlike South Africa, Wednesday evening against a very tough Mauritian side that also managed to hold the Mambas of Mozambique to a 0-0 draw. And this that you see before you is a battle between 4th and 3rd in Group A. Tomorrow we'll delve into Group B and tonight into Group C. But for now, all the focus remains and stays on the matters in Group A, the 4 fierce competitors in Group A. And South Africa simply must win. They played some great stuff on Wednesday afternoon, and now it's simply about converting their chances. Same applies for Zimbabwe. Vela Khumalo's South African team is a newly put together group, new fresh faces that were part of that interim Bafana squad for the 2 international friendlies, with Hugo Broos, that is. But now they lend their services to the COSAFA Cup and to South Africa's cause in the COSAFA Cup, coached by Vela Khumalo. And this is them arriving earlier on. They also played here Wednesday afternoon, and he leads them out yet again. Vela Khumalo, he has nurtured at Naturena, guided the under-17 national team as well, and here he is trying to guide this COSAFA Cup outfit to a special feat indeed, but they are going to have to do it the good old way, the hard way, to come from behind, from rock bottom, as things stand in Group A, to go all the way to the top, because remember, only the top teams of all the 4 groups will progress into the final 4. Well, Zimbabwe were dressed in green Wednesday evening for that opening clash against the Islanders of Mauritius. Today, they'll be in all white, taking on South Africa, who of course will be dressed in their usual colors. And it's going to be such a fascinating contest because so much is on the line, especially for this Zimbabwean team, the 2nd most successful nation in the COSAFA Cup, second to only Zambia. We've also had a very good record in South Africa, but they just haven't hit the ground running just yet. But Zimbabwe played some good football in their opening match against Mauritius. They had the ball in the back of the net.
By the coach of South Africa, Coach Vela Khumalo. Coach, first of all, you just saw the match between Mozambique and Mauritius. How do the results favor South Africa, if at all?
Yeah, well, I think even results, and we are hoping that even when they play the last game, they will also play a draw. And with us, what is left of us is to win this game and the next game to get 6 points so that we can go through.
And looking at your opponent, Zimbabwe, old enemy, always a tough one against them.
Yeah, look, I saw them play. I think it's a good team, well-coached team, and we also have an equally good team. And we cannot afford to lose this game. We want to win this game, get the 3 points like I indicated earlier. Win the 3 points, win the next 3 points, and go to the semi-finals. And yes, Zimbabwe is always, you know, the difficult part with our counterparts is that each and every team that plays South Africa, they want to sell themselves. So they go all out, even if a team is not doing well. But when they play against South Africa, they want to go all out so that they can be seen by other scouts that are here, and they go and play PSL. Yeah, we're hoping we know what we are in for, but we are going to deal with it properly.
And Coach, can you tell us about your team? Are there any changes for this match against Zimbabwe?
Yeah, look, there are changes because if you look at it, we got players who were in races, who were done with their season. So we had to call them from home to come and play the game. So the ones that started, we tweaked it a little bit. We have the other new ones because we needed the fresher legs, and we hope that these changes are going to help us going through. But we'll still bring the ones that actually started the game. We're just managing the minutes, and yeah, the minutes are on their legs.
Thank you, Coach, and all the best.
Thank you very much.
And we're now joined by the coach of Zimbabwe, Coach Tagarira Simon Maranje. Coach, As the previous coach, you just saw the match between Mauritius and Mozambique. What are your thoughts on the results?
I think in terms of the result and the group, it is a good result for South Africa and ourselves. I think it still gives us a huge shot in terms of the points in the group.
Always tough matches against South Africa. You're facing them now. What can you expect?
It's a very good side. We expect a lot of technical executions. They'll move the ball around. They'll be very good in possession. But I think we've analyzed them and we will try to play to our strength and try to capitalize on what they might not do so well.
You have a point, and 3 points are key today. If not, it could be curtains.
Yeah, we'll go for the 3 points.
And lastly, any changes in your side?
Yes, there is a couple of changes. We've had a bit of a flu outbreak, so we've had to take out one of our important players. He's not able to participate, but we've brought in another one who we think, as a youngster, should take the opportunity.
Thank you, coach, and all the best.
Thank you.
With the two coaches. Kumalo gave some fascinating insight. Simon Marange as well realizes the task of the challenge, and he was in Polokwane last night. He's here in Bloemfontein. He's everywhere. He goes where the football takes him. And it's a good amount of people that have made their way into this famous stadium, the Toyota Free State Stadium. And maybe they'll just have a relook at the group. Mozambique reside in first with 4 points. Mauritius in second with 2 points. Zimbabwe in third with that 1 point they got on Wednesday night. South Africa yet to open their accounts in terms of points and in terms of goals as well. The main Bafana group took to the field last night. And now it's the turn for some prospects to show what they have in their locker. And there is no better stage for a prospect than the COSAFA Cup. South Africa and Zimbabwe have always been friendly neighbors off the field of play and fierce rivals on it. We've seen these two nations square up in countless occasions before in the COSAFA Cup. And today will be another chapter in their shared history. Two of the most successful nations this competition has ever known. Now arriving in Bloemfontein with a new, freshly put together unit with a strong youth influence in both the South African and the Zimbabwean camp. It is Youth Month after all. And the stage is very much set for these two to try and steal the show. Anything less than a victory here for South Africa would probably spell the end of their journey. They simply must win. After Wednesday's events, Zimbabwe settled for a point against Mauritius, and they won't settle for anything less today. Mozambique and Mauritius were the ones to kickstart day 4 of the COSAFA Cup. South Africa and Zimbabwe will be the second of 3 acts. But this is probably the most significant match of the weekend. 2 former multi-COSAFA Cup champions fighting for their place in the competition, fighting for top spot in Group A. But before we delve into this very intriguing matter, it's time for the national anthems of both South Africa and Zimbabwe.
National anthem of Zimbabwe. Now, may we all stand again for the national anthem of South Africa.
There is a palpable weight of expectation on the hosts, on South Africa. It always seems to be the case. South Africa have hosted each of the last 7 COSAFA Cup competitions, and out of those 7 editions, the hosts have only been crowned champions once. And Vela Khumalo went and did his homework, and he's come up with 4 changes for this Zimbabwe challenge. Letlapa loses his place to Msani on the left-hand side of the defense and captains the team. Barnes is shuffled out for Nemtajela on the front lines, and Radiopane is preferred over Letswalo. Sibelebele also gets a slightly different role this afternoon as a right full back. Gonyama is another change in the middle of the park, together with Mkhize and Moralo. Those 3 will try and provide the steel in the midfield trenches for South Africa. This is the match both nations want to win, and this is the match both nations must win if they truly have grand ideals and aspirations for the Southern African title, the COSAFA Cup title. Thabang Ketsabile of Botswana is the man in the middle for this contest. Zimbabwe have won the toss. Mbeba wins the toss. And this is how the Warriors of Zimbabwe line up. Tinotenda Mike will be a massive miss for them today, but the man wearing the number 10 on his back, Prince Ndlovu, is a more than competent change. One of 2 changes Simon Marange was forced to make. And Ngwenya remains at the front lines for Zimbabwe, and Mapua will want to have a bigger impact this afternoon. We didn't see the best of him, nor Padira, nor Makunike or Muzenda on Wednesday night. They certainly realize the magnitude of the task, the importance of the task to Zimbabwe. And they are wearing that strikingly blinding all-white kit. And this is the VAR team. Letitia Viana and Mary Njoroge, should I say? Those 2 will be manning the VAR station this afternoon. We saw it intervene in the South African game, in the Zimbabwean game on Wednesday. Will it be called upon again? The atmosphere in the stands is special, as always, when Botha is in the middle. There might not be too many people in attendance at this ground, but many people will be tuning in for this high-stakes affair in the 2025 COSAFA Cup. wherever you're watching from, whatever platform you're watching on SABC 1 Plus or YouTube. Strap in for what could be a bumpy ride in Group A. The fourth match in Group A of the 2025 HollywoodBets COSAFA Cup gets underway. South Africa gets the party started. Aidan McCarthy launches one deep. That's one way of getting into the opposition's half immediately from kickoff. 4 changes for South Africa from the last game. Just the 2 for Zimbabwe. But what needs to change is their intent in the opposition's box. They need to grab their opportunities, be more cutthroat and ruthless in the penalty area. Because this is a short and sweet competition and it requires of you to score goals whilst still keeping the opposition at bay. Here is McCarthy. It's a given that you'll be seeing a lot more of Aidan McCarthy in the top flight next season for Kaizer Chiefs. We'll have a pre-season after this one in Europe. Bloemfontein is definitely a buzz. It will remain a hub of activity throughout this COSAFA Cup until a winner is crowned 8 days from now. And it's a pleasure to keep you company for not only this game but throughout the tournament as well. And hopefully today is the day we see a little bit more goalmouth drama in the COSAFA Cup. It's been a long while since South Africa celebrated a COSAFA Cup triumph. It's been even longer since Zimbabwe claimed the title. And here they meet again with the title and of course one another in their sights. We saw Zimbabwe threaten by using the long throw in and the corner kick against Mauritius. They've got a few speedsters in the attack. Although Mike isn't starting, Prince and Ndlovu is definitely one to watch out for from a South African perspective. As for this Bafana group, however, Nemtajela, Kabelo Dlamini, Radiopane make for an interesting front three, I have to say. There's a vast array of talented emerging stars in this COSAFA Cup. Mkhize is pleading for the referee to get a foul. Ndlovu goes down. Zimbabwe carry on with Ngwenya. He puts the ball into the box, easily dealt with though by Nkonyama. As Mkhize has probably put together the most consistent campaign of his career this season. That being Mkhize, Sekhukhune United really has been good to him. Sam Marange is normally the under-20 head coach of Zimbabwe, but the young coach has been elevated and he has brought many of his young guns with him for this COSAFA Cup. If Zimbabwe are to claim victory this afternoon, South Africa would bow out of the 2025 COSAFA Cup. At the same stage they did last season. Prosper Padera had a decent outing against Mauritius. He's a good spreader and sprayer of passes, is Padera. And South Africa will know everything good that Zimbabwe does goes through him first. So they might look to target him, nullify him, not allow him much time and space on the ball. And in the South African goal this afternoon is Mbanjwa. Is a product of the Cape, a servant of some massive clubs like Swallows and SuperSport United. And today he gets to serve his country. He gets to protect the South African goal. Looked like it came off Takaetsa last, so it's going to be a South African throw-in. Here's Dlamini. Capello Dlamini's first 2 seasons as a professional were right here in Bloemfontein with Celtic. So he'll feel very much at home. Here's Chapinduka. Denied a passage through. But Zimbabwe growing into the contest with Kasike. He's one that likes to get forward for Zimbabwe on the right-hand side. It's a little bit of a lopsided formation that the Warriors do apply. They seem to be more attacking on the right-hand side and a little bit more conservative on the left. As for South Africa, they pack a punch on the left and right. Does seem like this Bafana team is playing with a back 3 system. Sibelebele might be utilized as a right wing back just to allow him to get further closer to the opposition's goal where he can wreak havoc and where he can play his football. Because the last thing you want to do is stifle someone like Sibelebele. Here's Msani. Taking the place of Letlapa for this clash. Aiden McCarthy and Ime Okono retaining their spots. 2 fantastic young centre-halves with bright futures ahead of them. That's a useful through ball. Challenge here for Okon. Mapua is hassling him, but he finds his goalkeeper with ease. Mbanjwa then puts Moralo under some pressure, but he does well to put body between ball and man. And that was a tricky spot. And that little touch right there on the outside of the right foot just allowed him to bring the attention of the referee. And Mapua, of course. Here's Radiopane leading the line for South Africa. And he's already on the move. It will be very important for him not to become too isolated and to hold the ball up as best as he possibly can to bring in the likes of Dlamini and Nemtajela and Sibelebele into the game, whilst still being a threat in behind. He got the nod ahead of Let's Swallow this afternoon, did Radiopane. Vila Kumalo is having a brief chat with the 4th official. Kasike. How will Zimbabwe manage this South African threat? And how will South Africa manage the likes of Ngwenya and Mapua, as well as Prince Ndlovu, who had a good substitute stint on Wednesday against Mauritius? He was asking all of the right questions when he came on, but some of his colleagues just ran out of steam, ran out of energy by the time he was introduced very late into that game. This time around he's got maybe the full 90 ahead of him. Here's McCarthy. Broke into the Chiefs' first team towards the back end of the last season. And someone that Vila Kumalo knows very well. That's a clear foul on Mkize. It's read there by Muzenda. Dlamini with 1-2 with Radiopane. Sibelebele. Dlamini with a clever touch once more. South Africa moving it nicely through the lines. They go now. Dlamini with an exquisite ball. Radiopane is charged down by the goalkeeper, Mapisa. Sweeping attack from South Africa. And this is what can happen if you string a few passes together, if there's movement off the ball, and if Dlamini is at the heart of it. Not much that Radiopane could have done with that one. And it's a pity for him that it came off him last, after clipping the goalkeeper, Mapisa, who read the situation incredibly well for Zimbabwe. Wasn't forced to make many saves against Mauritius, but he's been called into action early on in this bout. And that has given South Africa a bit of belief now. It's released them from their shackles. Here's Radiopane. Moralo. Ocon. So this year's COSAFA Cup will be contested over 2 venues, if you didn't know already. This grand stage, that is the Toyota Free State Stadium, and the Dr. Petrus Molemela venue, just down the road from here, where South Africa will play their final group game against Mauritius. Zimbabwe, they will play their final group match right here in this famous cauldron. And it is also here where the knockout stages will unfold. Early yellow card into this game for Sibelebele. Had his best, most productive goal-scoring season this past season for TS Galaxy. Sumptuous through ball again. First time attempt is wide. South Africa carved Zimbabwe right open there. And Nemtajela, after being thrown into the starting 11, had a little bit more time. He could have maybe set himself up with a good first touch and then try to stick it away. Instead, went wide. And he could have done a lot better with that chance. A lot better. But those through balls through the very middle, through the heart of that Zimbabwean back line, seems to be on for South Africa. Zimbabwe will be seeking to close those gaps as soon as possible. Banjwa avails himself and does incredibly well to find a pass out to Dlamini, and now South Africa on the charge yet again. Radiopane, close support. Will he cut it back to Nemtajela? He does, and it's a crucial touch there from a Zimbabwean defender. No. Well, the chance was beckoning there for Nemtajela. After missing that wonderful moment a few moments ago. Would have really wanted to stick that one into the back of the net. Tough chance. But South Africa will keep on knocking. Dlamini to Msani. He goes into the box now, to the byline, clips it up towards the back post. Massive chance! Massive save from Mapisa. For the second time in this tie. Dlamini caught it relatively well. Lovely layoff from Sibelebele. And a useful clip ball in from Msani. And for his weaker side, that was a really good attempt from Dlamini. And a stunning save, a truly stunning save from Mapisa, considering that there were a lot of bodies ahead of him, disrupting his eyesight. Well, those are clearly fanatics of Zimbabwean football. Clearly hardcore fanatics. And it's a game that has attracted the eyes, attracted the attention. The other 12 teams definitely will be watching this tie unfold. South Africa look more likely. But Zimbabwe aren't easily rattled. Msani with a no-look pass around the corner to Nemtajela. The Marumo Gallant's man finds Dlamini, and then he can't keep the ball with him. But South Africa steal it back. It's good endeavor by Moralo. Is one of the many talents to be churned out by the School of Excellence. And then, of course, SuperSport United. And he's a good, honest midfielder for both club and country. And there's the foul statistic for you. 3-2. South Africa did play some sparkling football in the first half of their opening game against the Mambas. They looked so good right up until they set foot in the Mozambican box. And Vela Khumalo said after the game what we could all see, and that was a clear lack of ruthless finishing. And that's one aspect of their game they would have tried to sharpen over the last 48 hours. They've made a good start again. Two really good opportunities. One was denied by an exceptional save, and the other was put wide by a woeful attempt. But that won't be the last of their chances. But they also need to be wary of the Zimbabwean counter-attack that we all witnessed against Mauritius. Msani gives and goes. Looked like it came off him last. We'll have to wait and see again, but it's going to be a South African corner kick. Good interplay between himself and Nemtajela. It's always an exciting prospect for a fullback if he knows that he'll do more attacking work than defensive work in a game. And that seems to be the case for at least the first 20 minutes in this game. Here's Moralo for South Africa towards the front post. Radio Pane was making a run across the face, trying to get a glancing head on target, but Moralo can have another go. And gets it very wrong. You can see the paint left on the arm, left on the right arm of Mapisa after making that stupendous save moments ago. His anticipation was spot on. And he spread his body very well as well. A little bit careless in possession are Zimbabwe so far. And Sibelebele is going to go exploring in the box. Put it in there, ask the question. But Mapisa doing the mopping up work for the Warriors, who did endure a tough opening game against the Mauritians themselves. Both teams had the ball in the back of the net in that game, but both teams were denied by a goal, or by the intervention of VAR. Dlamini, it's a good ball again. Radiopane denied by the Zimbabwean captain. The move is kept alive though. Dlamini to Muralo. Radiopane and Dlamini and Sibelebele look alert. Gonyama tries a tricky pass. It's all South Africa in these opening exchanges. All one-way traffic, although the scoreline might not suggest so. That's a cheap free kick to win. Radiopane lays it off. Dlamini does so as well. Clever dummy. And then he pushes the referee to the side. Msani ventures forwards and inwards. Dlamini swivels, tries to drill it across the face, and South Africa have a corner kick. Another corner kick. And it brings some applause from the bench. Mkhize dummied and then pushed the referee, telling him not to get in his way. Marvelous control that is from Dlamini. He's known for that signature skill move of his, and makes it look easy. Moralo's in charge of this corner kick again. The delivery repelled. Nemtajela goes for goal. Shouts of a hand. But those shouts and pleas are no more. It was mainly only Nemtajela asking the question of the referee. Makunike did really well there for Zimbabwe. But Ngwenya is having a tough time of it for now. I think he's only touched the ball once for Zimbabwe up front. As for Radiopane on the opposite side of the spectrum, on the opposite side of the field, he has seen a lot of it. Here's Mbandwa, a late replacement for Bruce Vuma. Msani just ran through too many options in his head, I think. Well, the last thing South Africa would want to happen is to find themselves in a similar predicament to what they did on Wednesday afternoon, where they played so well, they outplayed the opposition for the most part, and then somehow still lost the game and faded in the second half. Zimbabwe will wait for their opportunity to strike. But they have to remain in the contest. They have to keep South Africa at bay. Moralo, Ngwenya doing the chasing. And this time they take the long ball approach to South Africa. Got this good ability to knock it short amongst themselves and then just to hook it long as well. It's important that they diversify their attack against this tough as nails Zimbabwean team. Great skill from Prosper Padera. But the pass, not quite. And South Africa can profit off this one if they work it well themselves. Dlamini still has the ball at his feet, Dlamini, and then he's dispossessed by Padera, who makes amends. And then he's fouled and wins a free kick for Zimbabwe. Another yellow card for South Africa, this time against Gonyama. So it is he and Sibelebele are the ones that have been booked so far in this match. Seems like it's a bit of a dead leg for Takaetsa. Or again, muscle fatigue, a muscle strain. The COSAFA Cup is a real physical tournament. It asks a lot of every single individual. Pushes the body to the maximum. Tests the mind as well. And this is a real firm test for both South Africa and Zimbabwe. And that does not look good from a Zimbabwean perspective. Takaetsa, invaluable to that back line. So important to the balance of this Zimbabwean team. McCarthy reading the play well, but he's only headed it to Ngwenya, who picked it up in the box. Chance here for Mapua. And Padera, who moves the move along to the right-hand side. Muzenda. And South Africa have enough bodies in the defensive third to deal with that threat. This is exactly what Simon Marange and his Warriors would have wanted. Still a 0-0 affair as we approach the half-hour mark. Not the greatest opening spell by Zimbabwe, but they are very much in the running for all 3 points. Gonyama. A necessary clearance. Forced change here for Zimbabwe. Takaetsa unable to continue for them. It's a major blow. Musani comes on in his place. Good header from Radiopane. Dlamini not quite rapid enough. But Zimbabwe are definitely learning on how to stifle South Africa a little bit more. Open the gate a little bit too often for them in the opening 20 minutes. Msani. Radiopane over the top. And Mbeba sticks it out into touch. And I'm not a professional lip reader, but I think what Mapisa was translating to his colleagues, or transferring to his colleagues, was that they need to stick together in defense. They need to remain as tight and as solid as possible. Dlamini delivers lower this time. Msani restarts the move. That's sloppy. Zimbabwe can break away here. It's a 1v1 situation here. Last defender to beat, and the touch was an awful one. The moment got too big for Mapua. Sloppy giveaway though from Sibelebele. And that is without question the most valuable chance Zimbabwe have been presented with, coming from a South African unforced error. Nemtajela hunts, but to no avail. Comes off Dlamini. Nemtajela can get on the end of that one. Tumbles to the ground. The flag is not waved from the linesman on the far side of the field. Again, it's not a great touch from Sibelebele. Ngwenya tries to turn him. Padera can sense some urgency now from Zimbabwe. Prince Ndlovu with an overstep. South Africa taking no chances eventually. Padera keeps things nice and tidy in the middle for Zimbabwe. Just hasn't had a lot of the ball because he's been outnumbered by the South African midfield three. But that won't stop him. Prosper Padera. And then he pulls up. Oh no. Ndlovu though. Play continues. Zimbabwe won't stop. Muzenda. McCarthy. Puts his body in the way. Great touch from the coach, Simon Marange there. And his captain comes over to him hastily. No goals last night in Polokwane, no goals today so far in the City of Roses. As I said at the top of the show, it's been a rather conservative COSAFA Cup when it pertains to goals. Padera seems fine enough to continue. As for Vela Kumalo, he finds his team in a similar position to what they were in on Wednesday. Still early doors in this contest, however. The South African coach has nurtured at Naturena. He guided the under-17 national team to the AFCON in Morocco this year. But this is a one-of-a-kind challenge. The challenge is to get a tune out of this Bafana Bafana group in next to no time. And time is not on their side. Corner kick opportunity for Zimbabwe. Their first of the encounter. Seems like they've got a bit of a corner kick routine. Can they bamboozle these South Africans? Can they conjure up the opener and shock the home supporters? Good fists away from Mbanjwa. Muzenda, still for Zimbabwe. Was there to be hit, that's for sure. A lot of chaos in that 6-yard box. And a lot of chaos as well on the fringes of the penalty area. South Africa surviving that Zimbabwean attack. Although Zimbabwe haven't really attacked South Africa like South Africa have attacked them with their 2 shots on target. None so far from a Zimbabwean point of view. You might recall that the last edition of the COSAFA Cup really was a one-of-a-kind. The tournament belonged to Angola, who absolutely obliterated Namibia 5-0 in the showpiece final. Dlamini looks for the inch-perfect ball. The player goes down in the box. Nemtajela wins the spot kick for South Africa. Clumsy mistake at the back for Zimbabwe. And it's presented South Africa's best chance to score their first goal in this year's COSAFA Cup. Clear penalty. Penalty all day. And Chapinduka took the touch, and he wasn't aware of Nemtajela, who was behind him, and stole the ball off his toes. And that's some redemption for Nemtajela. Missed that glaring opportunity closer to the start of the game. And he's produced the penalty kick. Forced the mistake out of Chapinduka. Mapisa now, the last line of defense for Zimbabwe. He's been very active in this match. His body is definitely warmed up. And of course, because we have VAR, they are obliged to check it. Although it did seem cut and dry. This is the moment South Africa have been waiting for quite some time. And the referee just reminding the players that all of them need to remain outside of the penalty box before the ball is struck. And of course, told Mapisa moments ago that he needs to remain on his goal line, or 1 foot at least needs to remain on the goal line when the ball is struck. By Dlamini, a set-piece specialist. Scored some fantastic free kicks in his career. But now he's in charge of a spot kick. And he's put it right at the front of that penalty spot. Kabelo Dlamini, and Mapisa reminding him exactly that. You need to take every advantage you can get. And if it's legal, take it. Check complete, penalty stands. South Africa with a chance to score the opening goal of this match, of the day. Can they seize their moment? Can Dlamini seize his moment? He sizes it up. With a hop, skip and a jump, South Africa are ahead against the Warriors of Zimbabwe. And they truly deserve it. And he picks the ball up and he runs back to the halfway line, because this Bafana group are hungry. They are hungry to atone for the errors they made and for the defeat they suffered against Mozambique. And he's been instrumental for South Africa in this game and the last, Dlamini, and it's only right that he took the spot kick and he totally bamboozled Mapisa. Waited for the goalkeeper to first make his move, to first go down and then tuck it away on the open side. Great penalty, great technique It looks so good if it comes off, and so bad when it doesn't. Luckily for Vela Khumalo's Chargers, it does. That's a handball. And South Africa, behind Zimbabwe and Zambia, are the third most successful nation in the history of this competition, despite recent history not favoring them at all. The hosts last won this competition in 2021 and first won it in 2002. But the last few watches have been difficult for South African supporters when they've tuned into the COSAFA Cup. And this year it is anyone's game. Great ball from McCarthy. Great vision, great execution. Radiopane. Gives that South African front line something different, does Radiopane. From under 17 level, he was always a terrific talent. He, of course, lost some steam during a loan move. But there's something different, something really positive about Radiopane these days. And speaking of positive, Zimbabwe will have to come out of their shells a little bit more. Be positive. And play on the front foot a little bit more than what they have so far. That's sloppy again. Prince Ndlovu met by Aiden McCarthy. Dlamini seems a little bit dizzy, and that's why. Didn't expect the ball to hit him in the face. It's always nasty. It's always unpleasant. But if that's the price you have to pay, then so be it. Great penalty. I can look at that all day long. And Mapisa knows it. South Africa did marginally miss out on a knockout or semi-final spot in the last iteration of this COSAFA Cup to Mozambique, who actually beat them to top spots by virtue of a marginally better goal difference. One must wonder if that is going to be the case this time around. South Africa need a victory today. They need to get some points on the board. And as things stand, Mozambique still remain on top of Group A with 4 points to their name. And South Africa currently second with a possible 3 points next to their name, but it's only the one goal. The fragile one-goal lead they have over the Zimbabweans. The most fascinating thing out of Group A is that if South Africa win this game, then any one of the 4 teams in the group can qualify for the knockout stage. But South Africa want their second. Yeah! Good save once more by Mapisa. Padera denying the ball from going out of play. It was an opportunity from a very tight angle for Sibelebele. And here he goes once more. Such a tricky customer. And sometimes blows hot and cold. Mapisa is the only thing, the only man keeping Zimbabwe in this game. Didn't have the necessary option in the middle, and Letsolonyane applauds the attempt nonetheless. Radiopane is the onside for South Africa. The flag stays down for now. Nemtajela. Another save from Mapisa. Man, is he having a cracker of a game. 5 minutes more to go in this first half. He was onside, Radiopane. And he did ever so well to wait for the run of Nemtajela to tee him up. And Mapisa remaining tall for Zimbabwe. Didn't see much of him against Mauritius, but he is showcasing his goalkeeping quality this afternoon. Threat still present. South Africa still present in the box of Zimbabwe. Dlamini over the top by Radiopane. I think. Last touch of a Zimbabwean. No, it wasn't Radiopane, it was the defender Chapinduka who got there just ahead of his goalkeeper. And Mapisa went flying in like Superman. Dlamini clips it up there, inviting delivery into the box, and it goes out for a simple Zimbabwean goal kick. Looks like a real chance for Ocon. It's such a challenge for any defense. When Dlamini is on the edge of your box, you simply need to close him down as soon as possible. '18 was the last time Zimbabwe went all the way and conquered Southern Africa. That was the year they defended their title, and it was during those 2 years or around that time that Zimbabwe went 15 games unbeaten in this competition. If they can tap into that kind of success and that type of mindset for this game and for the next, the Warriors could be a massive problem in this competition, but they are yet to be a serious problem for South Africa. Nemtajela to Radiopane, who's had a really good first half. Kize, Moralo. Sibelebele does incredibly well for South Africa. Good show of strength and persistence. He'll keep on towing the line on that right-hand side. The flick is good. Nkize's onside, and he's won a corner kick for South Africa. That is cheeky. That is what you get from Sibelebele. 7th corner of the game for South Africa. Question is, how do they stick one of these away? Especially with Mapisa in goal. Dlamini. It's that man again. Nemtajela. Dlamini. It's delightful skill. It's just a pity that Nemtajela wasn't on the same page or was on an offside page. of the game. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, the first half of this clash between South Africa and Zimbabwe comes to a close. South Africa huffed and puffed in this first half, right up until Nemtajela, after missing a glorious opportunity, went down in the box and won a crucial spot kick for this Bafana group that eventually found the breakthrough courtesy of a Jorginho-esque penalty by Kabelo Dlamini. They really do deserve the lead, but they would really want to add to it. As for Zimbabwe, they need to somehow find a route back into this contest. It's only the one goal they seek, so it's certainly far from mission impossible. It's a race to finish at the top of Group A. South Africa is second for now, Mozambique are still first, Zimbabwe are dead last, but things are subject to change. It ends after the first 45 at the Toyota Stadium in the City of Roses. South Africa 1, Zimbabwe 0. And with regards to the statistics, 5 shots on target for South Africa, none so far for Zimbabwe, and that is what Simon Marange really wants to change for the second stanza. Do stay tuned for that. The atmosphere in the stands is special as always when Botha is in the middle. HollywoodBets COSAFA Cup gets underway. South Africa gets the party started. Aidan McCarthy launches one deep. That's one way of getting into the opposition's half immediately from kickoff. Sibelebele. Dlamini with a clever touch once more. South Africa moving it nicely through the lines. They go now. Dlamini with an exquisite ball. Radiopane is charged down by the goalkeeper Mapisa. Sweeping attack from South Africa. And this is what can happen if you string a few passes together, if there's movement off the ball and if Dlamini is at the heart of it. Not much that Radiopane could have done with that one. And it's a pity for him that it came off him last. Had his best, most productive goal-scoring season this past season for TS Galaxy. Sumptuous through ball again. First time attempt is wide. South Africa carved Zimbabwe right open there. And Nemtajela, after being thrown into the starting 11, had a little bit more time. He could have maybe set himself up with a good first touch and then tried to stick it away. Instead, to find a pass out to Dlamini, and now South Africa on the charge yet again. Radiopane. Close support. Will he cut it back to Nemtajela? He does, and it's a crucial touch there. But South Africa will keep on knocking. Dlamini to Msani. He goes into the box now, to the byline, clips it up towards the back post. Massive chance, massive save from Mapisa. For the second time in this tie. Dlamini caught it relatively well. Lovely layoff from Sibelebele. And a useful clip ball in from Msani. And for his weaker side, that was a really good attempt from Dlamini. And a stunning save, a truly stunning save from Mapisa, considering that there were a lot of bodies ahead of him, disrupting his eyesight. But they also need to be wary of the Zimbabwean counter-attack that we all witnessed against Mauritius. Msani gives and goes. Looked like it came off him last. We'll have to wait and see again, but it's going to be a South African corner kick. Good interplay between himself and Nemtajela. Can they bamboozle these South Africans? Can they conjure up the opener and shock the home supporters? Good fists away from Mbanjwa. Muzenda, still for Zimbabwe. Was there to be hit, that's for sure. A lot of chaos in that 6-yard box. The tournament belonged to Angola, who absolutely obliterated Namibia 5-0 in the showpiece final. Dlamini looks for the inch-perfect ball. The player goes down in the box. Nemtajela wins the spot kick for South Africa. Clumsy mistake at the back for Zimbabwe. And it's presented South Africa's best chance to score their first goal in this year's COSAFA Cup. Clear penalty. Penalty all day. And Chapinduka took the touch, and he wasn't aware of Nemtajela, who was behind him, and stole the ball off his toes. And that's some redemption for Nemtajela. Missed that glaring opportunity closer to the start of the game. And he's produced the penalty kick. Forced the mistake out of Chapinduka. Mapisa now, the last line of defense for Zimbabwe. He's been very active in this match. His body is definitely warmed up. And of course, because we have VAR, check complete, penalty stands. South Africa with a chance to score the opening goal of this match, of the day. Can they seize their moment? Can Dlamini seize his moment? He sizes it up with a hop, skip and a jump. South Africa are ahead against the Warriors of Zimbabwe, and they truly deserve it. And he picks the ball up and he runs back to the halfway line, because this Bafana group are hungry. They are hungry to atone for the errors they made and for the defeat they suffered against Mozambique. And he's been instrumental for South Africa in this game and the last. Dlamini, and it's only right that he took the spot kick and he totally bamboozled Mapisa. Waited for the goalkeeper to first make his move, to first go down and then tuck it away on the open side. Great penalty, great technique. Radiopane is the onside for South Africa. The flag stays down for now. Nemtajela. Another save from Mapisa. Man, is he having a cracker of a game. 5 minutes more to go in this first half. He was onside, Radiopane. And he did ever so well to wait for the run of Nemtajela to tee him up. Especially with Mapisa in goal. Dlamini. It's that man again. Nemtajela. Dlamini. It's delightful skill. It's just a pity that Nemtajela wasn't on the same page or was on an offside page. And that was actually the first offside of the game. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, the first half of this clash between South Africa and Zimbabwe comes to a close. A warm welcome back, everybody. And this is the substitution list that Coach Vela Khumalo or Simon Marange may turn to in the second half, or definitely turn to, should I say, in the second stanza. Some exceptional talents on the South African bench. If you just quickly glance over, Ditejane, Wandile Duba, Ramabu, Letswalo might come in later on. Mduduzi Shabalala is yet to be introduced. Sanele Barnes started the last game as well. And Zimbabwe also have a number of talents on their bench. Remember that they are missing the ever valuable, the ever present Tino Tenda Mike. It's a huge miss for the Warriors, and there seems to be something missing from their attack. Someone missing from their attack. And they are chasing this game in the second half. The fourth game in Group A of the 2025 COSAFA Cup. The second half is underway. And this time it's Zimbabwe that are starting on the front foot. Delicious Rabona cross from the right-hand side. Don't see that every day. Deserves another look. But in Gonyama, why is it to it? Question for Zimbabwe in the second half is, how do they involve Mapua and Gwenya and Prince Ndlovu more often? How do they put them in more lethal positions on the field? Because one thing is for certain, their goalkeeper is having a blinder of a performance. took a penalty kick. A cunning hop, skip and a jump from Kabelo Dlamini to produce the opener for South Africa. It's only the one goal that separates these two sides as we get ready for another interesting 45 minutes. Zimbabwe simply have to do more, ask more questions of South Africa. And this Bafana group will definitely know that a one-goal lead is most definitely not enough, especially against the Zimbabweans, who have such a storied history in this competition. But this is a much younger team, although South Africa have plenty of youth prospects in the starting lineup and on the bench as well. And Simon Marange is giving a tongue lashing. He's definitely not satisfied with this Zimbabwean performance so far. He would have shared some harsh words with them during the half-time break. The question is, have the Warriors taken his message on board? It seems like they have. The goalkeeper has come out here for South Africa. He's in the world of trouble, and eventually his teammates help him out. Makunike spun well in the middle. Couldn't find a pass. Mbanjwa needs to be more assertive, needs to be more confident than that. Especially when you exit your box as far as he did. But no harm done. Mbanjwa waited to be pressed. It's really good to see South Africa playing a good brand of football, a positive brand of football, a possession-based brand of football. But sometimes that can be difficult to do against stubborn teams like Zimbabwe, like Mozambique as well, not to mention Mauritius, who have obtained 2 successive clean sheets in this competition and can easily qualify for the knockouts themselves. McCarthy does well. And he notices the runner off the ball. Msani, his name. Will definitely be a bigger challenge for South Africa in this second half. They should be expecting a much better Zimbabwean team. Radiopane does ever so well for South Africa, and that's another woeful miss. No, no, no. From Nemtajela. It's not his afternoon in front of goal just yet. Radiopane shows his never say die attitude. And that was very wide by Nemtajela. Again, he's lashing at these opportunities. Throughout the season for Marumo Gallants, he was so cold in the box. Not today. Seems a little bit frantic. Radiopane. That's a high foot. Question is, did it catch him in the face? Seems like it did. Considering the reaction, no, it's a knee. Took a knee to the face. That's painful. That's really painful. This isn't MMA, it's football. But it's good to see that Moralo is smiling. Took it like a champ. And Vela Khumalo just posing the question, just making sure that there's a booking to follow. That's definitely going to leave a bruise. And you can see the bump forming on his forehead already. It's a chilly afternoon in the City of Roses, but there's a warm atmosphere in the stands and problems to solve on the Zimbabwean bench. Zimbabwe were part of a tremendously congested group last year. They finished on 6 points. Kenya finished on 6 points, and Comoros also ended on 6 points in that group from a season ago. But it was Zimbabwe's slightly inferior goal difference that denied them passage to the semi-finals. That's how close, how tense this competition can be. Both these nations were denied a route through to the Final Four by the goal difference rule. So that's why scoring them is so important, whilst still keeping things neat and tidy at the back. South Africa had countless corner kick opportunities in the first 45. They've got another here, and the wind has definitely started to pick up a little bit more as Dlamini whips it in. It's an outswinger towards Radiopane, who challenges well, but he's beaten to it by Makunike. It breaks for Prosper Padera, such a strong runner. Mapisa steps out of his box. He was busy in the first half. He should expect to be busy in the second too. His bandage now is Moralo. You can't miss him. If you're wondering about the format of this competition, it has changed over the years. Last year, Nelson Mandela Bay, the winners of Group A, B and C, together with the most productive runner-up, which was Namibia at the time, they qualified for the Final Four. But due to the addition of another group this year in Bloemfontein, the format is simple. The path to the finals is simple on paper. Each of the 4 group winners will qualify for the semi-finals. And these two in the running. South Africa ahead of Zimbabwe in this match and in the context of Group A. Gonyama. Unlike most of his teammates, Gonyama has been around the block. And so has Dlamini. Msani for South Africa, delicious ball into the box. Just a little bit too much on it. You could see he was clearly trying to pick out Sibelebele on the far post. Just put a tad too much on it. But as I said, a lovely delivery nonetheless. Moralo. Ready to battle now for South Africa is Moralo after receiving that knee to his head. And that time around, it is he who commits the foul. It's up towards Ngwenya. Makunike. Good ball from him. The attempt from Mapua is blocked. And then it came off him last. And he frustratingly has to accept a South African goal kick. Khumalo recognizes that it is far from over. And if you're just joining us now, South Africa are in the lead against Zimbabwe in this crunch Group A match that they simply cannot afford to lose. The same pertains to Zimbabwe, who have to start staging a fight back pretty soon. Sibelebele does well as a right fullback. So in play there, sometimes for Adnan Beganovic's TS Galaxy outfit. As Nentajela wins the free kick for South Africa. Another yellow card dished out by the referee. A few players booked now. The latest, the Zimbabwean captain Mbeba, who had a rocky start to this tournament and a rocky start to this game, but he's started to pick up the pace. And he started really to up his level of physicality. We all know that these two familiar foes have squared off a number of times in the 28-year history of this competition. But every time they do, it's with new players, with new skill sets and new objectives to do better than the last group. It's a giveaway, and it's presented a chance for Radiopane to run at Zimbabwe, but he's tugged back. A worthy challenge for a yellow card. Musani into the referee's black book after taking the place of Takaetsa early on in this match. After giving the ball away, committed a clear foul. And I'm not too sure why there were protests by some of his teammates, because he was dead silent. This is definitely Dlamini territory. Of that, there is no question. It's a tall, four-man Zimbabwean wall to conquer. Or will it be a Moralo attempt at goal, or a Moralo cross into the box? A few options that South Africa have at their disposal here. A few ways of going about their business. Will it be the bandaged Moralo, or will it be the goal scorer, Kabelo Dlamini? Radiopane is clearly in an offside position, so that might be a clue. Dlamini that runs over the ball, delivered into the box, or not into the box, it's out. It's a rather disappointing outcome for South Africa. They had everyone guessing as to what they were going to do there. Turns out, not much. Makunike. Someone needs to try and drive Zimbabwe forwards. There's no linkage between the midfield and the front two. Everything is very predictable for South Africa so far. It's a very good header there by Mbeba. Moralo. Nemtajela does well to ride the challenge. Sibelebele playing some tiki-taka stuff with Moralo before it was put to an end. Dlamini. It may just be a matter of moments and minutes before the coaches turn to their bench. Simon Marange has already done so, but he was forced to do so because of the injury that Takaetsa sustained in the first half. Dlamini pounces on that. Mkhize might. Moralo might. Nsani into the box he goes. Ntajela was never going to win that one. That's late, it's from behind as well, it didn't look good. That's a very, very reckless challenge. Yes, he got a slight touch on the ball, but it's almost like a scissor kick challenge that can do so much harm. If you lift your studs in the air up like that with both feet, you are running the risk. Question, is he booked? He's not even booked, I think. Be that as it may. No cards, but substitutes. Kennedy Mupomba will come on to replace Denzel Mapuya. And Tanaka Munemo comes in for Muzenda. Three substitutes now on the park for Zimbabwe. Mupomba, the one change that was instituted, did actually start the game against Mauritius, had a limited impact, and then he was taken off at half-time. Mkhize quite clearly feeling the after effects of that nasty challenge. That is an ankle breaker. And it's good to see that Mkhize is on his feet, and it's good to see that Makunike has been booked. You can't escape that. Over the next few days and games before next weekend, the group phase of this competition will start to take some interesting twists and turns. Once this Group A clash is brought to a close, the attention will then shift on to the next match, a Group C tussle between Tanzania and Madagascar. And then tomorrow, it's all Group B action with Angola, Lesotho, Namibia and Malawi all taking to the field. Namibia versus Malawi will be the 3 o'clock kickoff. This time, tomorrow afternoon. Moralo nicks it back for South Africa. Radio Pane. The ball has just glued to him this afternoon. Nemtajela, silky touch there. Another. still a bit of a raw diamond, is Nemtajela. Same applies for Ngwenya. But he's going to have a run at the South African defence now. The move is slowed down. Padera. Takes such good care, such good ownership of the ball, does Padera for Zimbabwe. It's a pity for them, though. He's one of their only few players that actually do take care of possession. Slight nudge there from Nemtajela. This game is slowly petering along and slipping away from Zimbabwe. But the one goal makes this lead feel very uncertain, very fragile. Anything can happen in the COSAFA Cup, as we have grown accustomed to over the years. Nemtajela can't stay on his feet. Sani clips it up there. It's not convincing from Zimbabwe, but it does the trick as Mapisa throws it back to South Africa and receives the wrath from his coach. These two have played against one another 5 times in previous COSAFA Cup events, this being their 6th meeting in this famous regional competition. South Africa have defeated Zimbabwe 3 times, whereas Zimbabwe have defeated South Africa twice. There's never been a draw between these two in the COSAFA Cup. Make of that what you must.
Okay.
Dlamini, lovely delivery into the box, simply superb, and Radiopane cannot believe that it's still 1-0. Drifted in there expertly, but on Radiopane was Mbeba. He made certain that the young Buccaneer wasn't going to have a chance at goal. Changes for South Africa. Vuyo Letlapa. It's a like-for-like change at left back. Ziandem Sani had a good shift this afternoon. Letlapa started the group opener against Mozambique. Puso Ditejane as well. And he's going to come on to replace Dlamini, but we saw Ditejane utilized as a fullback, so it's going to be interesting to see whether Sibelebele bites the bullet and plays there, or whether Ditejane does the job at right fullback. But here's another look at the wonderful penalty goal by Kabelo Dlamini. He made it look classy, made it look elegant. Puso Ditejane is an elegant talent. And on Ditejane, he has really discovered who he is as a footballer ever since he joined the TS Galaxy project. Here's Nemtajela, though. He's been missing opportunities in this game, and he can't combine with Radiopane when he should have taken it on himself. That's what happens if you miss big chances. You start losing confidence. Although it was closed down, the window of opportunity was closed down by Chipanduka. South Africa really need to start taking their chances at a second goal, because if they don't, Zimbabwe might strike back and shock them. For as long as South Africa remain in this year's COSAFA Cup, they have to take their opportunities. They can't invite the opposition onto them. They can't allow the opposition routes back into the game, because it's so often been the case. Tijani reads it, but doesn't make the most of it. Kasike, can he drive Zimbabwe forwards? Obliged to cross the ball into the box. Pedera. Pulls the strings. He's the puppet master for Zimbabwe, and that's a great clearance from McCarthy. Eyes on the ball all the way. For a defender in that position, it's all about the height and the distance on your clearance. Kize seems to be done for the day after he was absolutely crunched by Makunike. It'll be difficult for any player to recover from that tackle. And Kize is still nursing that knock, and Vela Kumalo is surveying the options that he has at his disposal on his bench. And that's what caused the penalty. I don't know why they decided to call upon VAR, because it was definitely the correct decision by the referee on the field, and Dlamini made absolutely no mistake. Nations are definitely getting accustomed to the COSAFA Cup being contested on South African soil. The last time Zimbabwe hosted this competition was all the way back in the winter of 2009, when they won their home tournament, in fact. And concerning COSAFA Cups in South Africa, Zambia have tended to be the most successful, although their recent record across 2 competitions read 4 games played, 4 games lost. Just like South Africa, they lost the opening game of this season's COSAFA Cup campaign. The Copper Bullets will be adamant to get back to winning ways. South Africa, very much the same. As we approach, as we find ourselves in the final quarter of this contest. Final 15 minutes before we see how many minutes will be added on. Radio Pane, he's going to go all the way. Radio Pane for South Africa. Denied by Mapisa. He's a special young striker, is Radio Pane. He was forced to do it all by himself, and did the best he could with what he had available to him. First the touch, and then the run to get beyond the defender, and then the strike from a very tight angle. Forced the save out of Mapisa, which is perhaps what he was trying to do. strikers are always obliged to at least make the goalkeeper work. If you're not going to score, at least make the goalkeeper work. And that's what caused the injury to Mkhize. And taking his place is the creative young man that is Duduzi Shabalala. Is 21 of age, if you might have forgotten. With each match that Shabalala plays, he gets closer to realizing his potential. Not quite ready for the main Bafana Bafana group, so he'll seek to shine on the COSAFA Cup stage. Battered and bruised is Moralo, but takes charge of this free kick. Wonderful delivery, wonderful header. Ocon scores for South Africa and gives them breathing room. Gives them the all-important 2-goal lead against South Africa. We don't know as of yet where he will be playing club football next season, but he is embracing this challenge with this Bafana Bafana group in this COSAFA Cup. And Ocon scores for South Africa, rising highest, meeting that wonderful delivery from Moralo. And this time, absolutely no chance for Mapisa, who went to his left-hand side in absolute vain. He's been tidy at the back, and he was ruthless in the box. Well, that is exactly what the doctor ordered for South Africa. There's no doubt about it. And it's made Zimbabwe's task a whole lot more difficult. And it seems like they may just have to settle for bottom spot in the group, unless they can stage a late show. A show that no one will see coming. And that goal came in exactly the right time for South Africa. Could have been a nervy finish with only that 1-goal lead. But the 2 goals gives them a chance to slightly relax. Emphasis on slightly, because here goes Zimbabwe again. McCarthy. Makunike. Shabalala lends out to defensive hand. And that goal from Ocon actually marks the first time in this competition that a nation has been able to score more than 1 goal in a match. So we're starting to get some goals, finally, in the COSAFA Cup. South Africa needed to prove a point this afternoon. They needed to prove that that defeat by the hands of Mozambique was not exactly a fair reflection on the game, but it was a tough lesson that they had to learn from. And they've taken all those lessons and applied it here in this match against Zimbabwe. Ditejane. Sibelebele now for South Africa. Mbeba is in the way for Zimbabwe. He needed to be. Here's Ditejane. Can the rocket fire in the final blow? Ditejane. He's been smooth since he's come on. He's a smooth operator. And nearly squeezed one through. Zimbabwe very much second best. South Africa in total cruise control. Zimbabwe's last few COSAFA Cup visits to South Africa may not have been triumphant, but of their 6 COSAFA Cup titles, 5 have been achieved on South African soil. So they clearly used to love playing here. But they need to show some fight. But in terms of quality, there's a massive chasm between South Africa and Zimbabwe. Ditejane this time gets his pass wrong. It's also no secret that Zimbabwe have endured major setbacks before their recent revival. They didn't enter last year's competition, and if you can recall, they were disqualified from the AFCON qualification process 3 years ago, but they are back. They rectified and they started to get it right off the field of play, and they are still trying to get it right on the field of play. As Radiopane makes his way off the field of play in a way that no South African would want to see. He's proven that he's worthy of another start for South Africa. Beanies, scarves, jackets and sweaters, everyone is trying to stay warm. Except for those few Zimbabwean fans. Chapinduka to Prosper Padera, who enjoyed a lot of the ball at his feet. He was able to dictate the play against Mauritius, but playing against South Africa, against a possession-based South African team, is another task entirely, and so he has found out today. So Zimbabwe have found out today. And with 5 minutes to go of normal time, South Africa still maintain a good-looking 2-0 lead over Zimbabwe. Sibelebele and Ditejane doubling up. More changes, more and more changes for South Africa, and it's a change up top. Boitumelo Radiopane made his way off the field of play via a stretcher, and he is replaced by Victor Swallow. And Atinkosi Ngaba will come on to replace Aiden McCarthy. And receives a warm round of applause from the locals, does Aiden McCarthy. Look at that broad smile on Ngaba's face, relishing the opportunity. It's a good time to be introduced to, although there's not a lot of time left. Moralo does really well. Shabalala just takes a little bit too long. Or didn't expect the defender to be so wanting of the football behind him. But Moralo has really dug his heels in this afternoon. He's played with a lot of heart. Ngaba receives the thumbs up from his captain. Mapisa. Mapisa still has some work to do with regards to his distribution skills, but he is an exceptional shot stopper for Zimbabwe, and that's one positive they can take out of this game, as well as the performances of Prosper Padera. But other than that, you are scrambling for positives from this performance. But luckily enough for them, mathematically it's not over for them. Victor Letswalo tumbles to the turf. He was invaluable for South Africa's Chan cause, was Letswalo. And what about this COSAFA Cup cause? We're yet to see Ramabu play for South Africa in this year's COSAFA Cup. Zimbabwe need to make their move now if they wish to attain a point here. They need to strike, and they need to do it quickly. For the first time in this game, they've set up camp in the half of South Africa. They've pushed South Africa back here. And as I said, this is the only time it's happened all game long. And they are clearly disjointed, lacking of chemistry and fluidity in the final third. But things have clicked for Vela Khumalo's Chargers this afternoon. Kasike. Aba. Can't deny the ball from going out for a Zimbabwean corner kick. Only Zimbabwe's second corner of the match. South Africa have had 4 times that amount. It's a good opportunity nonetheless to at least half the deficit, and they look dangerous there from that corner kick. Mbeba looked really dangerous as Puto Dijane took it out of the sky and wins a throw in. A massive 7 minutes to go before the final whistle sounds at the Toyota Free State Stadium. South Africa have all but secured their first bag of 3 points in this year's COSAFA Cup at a famous rugby venue that now houses some enterprising football talents. Sibelebele, one of them. Keeps control of the ball, Shabalala. He can also sprinkle his stardust if he wants to. Nemtajela seems to be filling out a midfield role just to see this game out. Letswalo, Shabalala. Of course, someone that Vela Khumalo knows all too well. Nemtajela, destined for Orlando, for the Buccaneers next season. But his focus for now remains on this COSAFA Cup, trying to get South Africa to the very top of the group standings. Prosper Padera usually doesn't take a lot of risks with his passes. Tried it that time around. He was much more pleased on Wednesday evening. Saw a lot more of his players and what they're really capable of against Mauritius. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. Tino Tenda Mike was a massive miss for Zimbabwe this afternoon. If they had his skill, his speed in the attack, South Africa would have definitely had a few more Zimbabwean threats to deal with. But it's been quiet defensively and very active in an attacking sense. Nemtajela, really good ball. Moralo, can he get another assist? Gorgeous dummy, let's swallow, let's fly. And Mbeba threw himself in the way. Ngaba takes way too long. Definitely onside, Moralo. And that dummy from Sibelebele. Lined one up for Letsoalo. And it was cold-bound, it was destined to ripple the back of the net. But Mbeba, he was where he needed to be for Zimbabwe. And they'll definitely need him in their last group encounter, because Group A is going to go down to the wire on Tuesday. All of the groups really are going to go down to the wire. And it's safe to say now that South Africa will end the day off in second position in Group A. 1 point behind Mozambique. Mauritius in third, undefeated, remember. Zimbabwe, number 4 in Group A. And South Africa's final match in this short and sweet group phase will take place on Tuesday against Mauritius at the Dr. Petrus Molemela Stadium. That is where their fate in this competition will be decided. But they have done the job here at the Toyota Stadium. And as for Zimbabwe, they will return to this ground on Tuesday for another 3 p.m. kickoff against the Mambas of Mozambique. Next Tuesday is a day of reckoning in Group A. Remember, the knockouts will take place next weekend. It's a short and sweet tournament, the COSAFA Cup. And it will keep us on the very edge of our seats until the winner is crowned. Mbeba has decided enough is enough. He's defended all game long and he's going to take this free kick. Usually he does take the free kicks for Zimbabwe. Mbeba looked good for a second or two. But about 2 or 3 meters, maybe even 4 shy of the goal. He's got a lot to be proud of this afternoon. And it's a pity that golden gloves are often decided by clean sheets and not the amount of saves a goalkeeper makes, because Mapisa made a number of them this afternoon. The final whistle looms 3 points loom large for South Africa. And Zimbabwe staring down the barrel of a 2-0 defeat that will shortly be confirmed. And that is that. That is the end of this Group A show for the day. And the winners of the day are South Africa. Sibelebele, the HollywoodBets COSAFA Cup player of the match. Started the game and worked tirelessly throughout. Shabalala was brought on towards the dying embers of the contest. There's a few injury concerns in both camps. Radio Pane and Mkhize, 2 of those for South Africa. Mike and Takeetse, 2 of those for Zimbabwe. And South Africa have done exactly what they needed to do, precisely what they wanted to do. They've given themselves a chance of going into the Final Four, but it is far from over in this year's COSAFA Cup. As for Zimbabwe, they must win their last group game and hope for some favors in the other game. And in a few minutes' time, the smaller 3-nation group, which is Group C, offers its first matchup. The title of the game is Tanzania versus Madagascar. And you can catch that one on sabcplus.com. As well as on COSAFA's YouTube page. Should be an interesting battle, that one. Group C finally getting underway, as 4 matches have already been played in Group A. This was their 6th meeting in the COSAFA Cup. And for the 4th time, South Africa have defeated the Warriors of Zimbabwe in this famous regional competition. Much needed victory, hard-fought victory. South Africa 2, Zimbabwe 0. And final report card as well. South Africa bossed possession. In terms of shots on target, they also bossed that. Zimbabwe were unable to produce one single shot on target, which is a massive shame for them and something that they desperately need to improve and change in the final game next week, Tuesday. South Africa have dominated this contest despite what the scoreline suggests, and they've grabbed a hold. Crucial 3 points against the tricky Zimbabwean team. Time then for an interview with the 2 coaches, Simon Marange and Vela Khumalo, who will be very happy with this performance.
And we're now joined by the coach of Zim, Tagarira, Simon Marange. Coach, you did say if we don't win here, we're in trouble. First of all, your assessment of the 90 minutes.
I think it's a different level for us. We were dominated for large periods of the game. But I think it's worthwhile experience for the boys. There's a lot of learning to understand what are the demands at this level.
And looking at the log table, you bottom with 1 point and 1 match to go. Still confident?
No, we'll play the last game like we did this one. We'll compete, we'll give everything like we've done in all the games. That's all we're here about.
And Coach, what do you make of South Africa as a team?
I think they played really well today. They really raised the intensity. Technically, they were above us. Tactically, they changed to a back 3. We tried to match it, but I think they were a bit just sharper, quicker, and stronger than us.
And lastly, what lessons learned from this match?
For the players, especially to understand what are the demands at the level if you're going to play at the highest level. And for me, myself, to go back and reflect on some of the things we can do better next game.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck next game. Hard luck. And we're now joined by the coach of South Africa, Coach Vela Khumalo. Coach, congratulations for a fine win. What do you make of the win, your assessment of the 90 minutes?
Look, I think we had a good game, as always. And one will then say you can't get too excited because you're saying, let's get to the next game, wait for the next game, let's win the next game and have 6 points and see how it goes. But on the game itself, I think we stuck to the plan, and the plan was that we need to suck them in. They have energy, they need to come in, but we needed to come to play more of combinations, but play more on the width side, which we think we are very strong on. But again, we still had too many. We had entries at the first stanza of the game, but we did not convert the chances again. Maybe again, we still need to go back and say, let's go and be clinical on our last entry, on our final third.
You said before that Zimbabwe is always a tough customer, and it proved tonight, even though you won 2-0.
I actually said it. All these teams playing against South Africa, they play their A games because it's South Africa, and they want to get to be seen. They want to come their side and play football their side. So it becomes very hard for us, but it says to us we need to do what we know best, which is we are technically good, we are very nippy on the ball, and we are technically and tactically strong. So these are the elements that we have more than anything else. And I'm happy for the boys, I'm happy for the supporters that came in here to support us, but it's not over, it's just the beginning. We need to get another 3 points.
You just went to my next question. Looking at the log table, Mozambique 4, South Africa 3, Mauritius 2, and Zimbabwe 1. It's still wide open if you think about it, if you do the maths.
Look, it is still wide open, and you can then say Mozambique we cannot afford to see Mozambique winning a game. Maybe a draw will be fine for them, and then we must win against Mauritius. So those are the permutations, and let's see how it goes. And I'm hopeful. And I think we will. It depends on Mozambique at the moment, to be honest with you. But let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Coach. Well done, and good luck with the next game.
Thank you.